On a dry and dusty road.
Whatever the outward form it takes, its romantic partners. Others are compulsive seekers of money, prestige, fame, or recognition on social media. But whatever the outward form it takes, the underlying motivation is the same. The seeker is trying to run away from the banality of their existence. They are seeking to fill the void of emptiness that comes from living a meaningless life. But as Jung explains, this void cannot be filled with things or even experiences. What fills this void is knowing that we are living in a way that makes a difference, or as he writes concerning the woman he met. But if she could say, "I am the daughter of the moon. Every night I must help the moon, my mother, over the horizon." Ah, that is something else. Then she lives. Then her life makes sense, and makes sense in all continuity, and for the whole of humanity. That gives peace, when people feel that they are living as actors in the divine drama. That gives the only meaning to human life. Everything else is banal, and you can dismiss it. A career, producing of children, are all Maya compared with that one thing, that your life is meaningful. Jung was not suggesting that we all adopt the Puebloan mythology. Rather, his point is that many people suffer because their life makes no sense. And the task for those who want to be free of anxiety or depression is to discover this sense. We must, in other words, find a way to justify our existence, so that we, like the Puebloan, can believe that our life is meaningful. For some, this can be accomplished through religion. For others, by contributing in a substantial way to the promotion of values such as justice, freedom, or community.
A million acres of empty grassland. Who needs it, some might say? Shouldn't it be a wise nation's tribute to itself to establish a prairie park?
Hello and welcome to the Social Day, August 24th, 2022 stream on the Griswold Grimm YouTube channel. I'm Cornelius. Grimm couldn't make it today. He did set up all of these clips and stuff I'll be playing for you. He told me he was out of Manamana. But welcome just the same. I understand I'm supposed to do a savings throw for against mind control for people. Here goes that. You choose either red or yellow or blue or green. And then I roll it, and then the number on that color die is your number. And if you get over 10, then you take half damage from the mind control. Right? Choose! The red people, survivalists, with a 6 today. Socialists here on Social Day, a 4. Sophists with the lovers of wisdom with a 10, and heart folks once again prime 17. Go figure.
But what about wildlife? Where can these creatures go to find not only the space and solitude that man sometimes craves, but the very elements basic to their survival?
Therefore, this art of eurythmy, based as it is on the etheric forces in man.
This is a smash hit by up and comer Jonathan Dumire. Eurythmy.
Therefore, this art of eurythmy, based as it is on the etheric forces in eurythmy. Therefore, this art of eurythmy, based as it is on to the art of eurythmy. Therefore this art of eurythmy, based as it is on the etheric forces in man, had to appear just at that time a modern spiritual science was being sought. For it was out of this modern spiritual science that eurythmy had to be born. Eurythmy as an art is the fruit of the spiritual impulse working in the anthroposophical movement. That which lives in the human organization as soul and spirit comes to visible manifestation through eurythmy. Its effect upon those watching it depends upon the inner perception that in the externally visible movements of people and groups of people, soul and spirit visibly unfold themselves. He only who has the artistic conception of what lies in the audible word can unfold the right sense for how the audible can in eurythmy be transformed into the visible.
According to Aristotle, persuasion cannot occur in the absence of emotion. People are moved to action by how a speaker makes them feel. Aristotle believed the best way to transfer emotion from one person to another is through the rhetorical device of storytelling. More than 2,000 years later, neuroscientists have found this thesis accurate. Studies have found that narratives trigger a rush of neurochemicals to the brain, notably oxytocin, the moral molecule that connects people on a deeper emotional level. Hi. Thanks. Glad you're here.
While others will find it through the creative act. But for those of us in the modern West, where we lack a dominant mythology, it is up to us, and us alone, to discover how we can play a meaningful role in the divine drama of life. For the few who accomplish this task, a fulfilling life will define their future. For the many who don't, years or decades of pointless suffering and compulsive seeking will be their fate.
One has, as it were, the human soul being before one's eyes. And what we achieve by means of eurythmy, when we make it into a visible speech, is no less than this: the bringing of movement, of fluidity into the frozen human form. For art stands midway between the revelations of the sense world and spiritual reality.
How does man benefit? Do we wish to see their ancient migration routes restricted, or their numbers reduced to a few isolated bands? Which of our
The first group, the group that had not been interrupted, scored 10 IQ points higher than the group that had been interrupted. To give you a sense of how big that is, if you and me sat down now, Jordan, and we smoked a fat spliff and got stoned, our IQs would go down by 5 points. So in the short term, being chronically interrupted and distracted in the way so many of us are is twice as bad for your intelligence as getting stoned, right?
Wow.
Now, you'd be better off sitting at your desk, doing one thing at a time and smoking a spliff than you would sitting at your desk, not smoking a spliff and being constantly interrupted. Now, to be
It is the aim of anthroposophy to place the spiritual world before mankind. Art is the reflection of the spirit in the sense world. If art did not grow upon anthroposophical soil, this could only result from some lack in this soil itself. The essential thing is that the soul should gain the power of working through the medium of the body. Thus the movements of eurythmy, these gestures as they are shaped and formed, must be felt to be absolutely natural, indeed inevitable. One must feel that they could not be otherwise, that it is only by means of these very gestures that certain moods or artistic concepts can be expressed.
In retrospect, it is plainly evident that Peterson made an effort to market himself and his cult to young white males from the very beginning. In the fall of 2016, Peterson attempted to subvert the mimetic culture by intentionally associating himself with Pepe the Frog, claiming that spiritual synchronicity had crowned him the spokesfrog.
So, Yeah, when I saw the video that you put up, was it 2 days ago now? I think.
Yep.
Yeah, 2 days ago. I couldn't believe it. Yeah, and the next morning I got an email from my brother who also studies symbolism and is a very smart person, and he said, "Does Jordan know he's incarnating Pepe right now?"
Yeah, well, the funny thing is,
I would distinguish, like, what I'm talking about is conspiracism specifically, and I'm going to read this just to make sure that I'm phrasing it right. So it's not a specific theory, and in fact, often there's not much theory to it at all. It's more an accusatory, credulous, and often fearful mindset that treats rumor as research and innuendo as proof.
That's good.
Our states has the prettiest women, the toughest cowboys, and the widest wide open spaces.
But could captive-born ferrets make it on their own?
Okay. And the last thing we have for you today is this tweet here. Men in black, men image bearing. The cross of our crux is the burden of bearing God as a man, as the judge in our brains. Remember, Embody, it was the Joker that said there's gotta be a way out.